Hi everyone, my name is Matt and I want to welcome you to our class. We're so excited to have you here. There's so much I want to tell you about what we're going to be doing. But first I want to tell you one way in which this class is probably different from any class you've been in before. You will actually have two teachers. One of your teachers you just met there in the classroom. And then there's me, Matt. I'll be your teacher via video. That may seem a little strange, but there's a lot of cool things that we can do with video teaching. Like I can give you a list of instructions behind me. I can put up helpful images to show you things. I can even play videos behind me from classes that we've done before. You'll get used to having a video teacher pretty soon. Now before I tell you about this class, I want to tell you about our prize box. In this class, we give out prizes for people who are doing a good job following directions, listening to the teacher, and working hard. First, let me tell you how we keep track of the points in this class. You might have noticed that up on the board or up at the front of the room is a list of all the people in the class. Everybody starts out with 2 points, as you can see here. Now, it's kind of like a contest. Your teacher will be giving you points all through the class, not just today, but all of the times that we're here together. The points carry over each week. Now I say it's a contest because there's a special prize for whoever gets the most points at the end of the last class. The special prize is a $10 Amazon gift card. Whoever has the most points at the end of the last class will win the gift card. Now, as you might know, you can buy almost anything you want on Amazon. They have toys and action figures and dolls and stuffed animals and anything that you're interested in. You could buy something for $10 or you could pair it with some other money that you have to buy something bigger. All of the other people in the class who are doing good also earn a prize. On the last day of class, your teacher will bring a prize box, and everyone who's doing good in class will get to pick one prize if they didn't win the $10 gift certificate. Now you might be wondering, how do you earn points in the class? There's a bunch of ways to earn points. Your teacher will be giving points all the time. The main way is by following these 3 important rules. The first rule is to work hard. Your teacher will always be on the lookout to give points to those people who are working hard. The second rule is to take the class seriously. Don't get too silly during class. We're going to be doing some great things in this class and we really want you to take it seriously. Have fun, but do your best. The last rule is when we're at meetings like this meeting right now. There's no talking at the meeting unless you raise your hand. So like when I'm talking to you from the video here, you should be silent and listening. Or when your teacher is talking to you, you should also be silent and listening. If you do have a comment or question, you should remember to raise your hand. Your teacher will always be looking to give points to people doing a good job when we're at our meetings. So those are our 3 rules. There's a few other ways that you can earn points in class too. One way is that sometimes your teacher will ring a little bell. When they do that, that means it's time to come over to the meeting rug or the meeting area. We'll give you a little 10-second countdown that looks like this whenever your teacher rings the bell and asks you to come over. Your teacher will usually give a point to the 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 people, it's your teacher's choice, who come over quickest without running. If you run over, it doesn't count. Now, I do want to mention your teacher can also take away points. So if you forget to raise your hand, or if you're talking at the meeting, or if you're like the last one to come over and you are like really slow coming to the meeting area, your teacher could take away a point. In fact, I've asked them to do that if you are having trouble, just to give you a reminder. So I mentioned that everyone who's doing good will earn a prize, and the person who gets the most points will earn the $10 gift certificate. But you might be wondering, Matt, what do you mean by doing good? Take a look at this list of students behind me. Now in this class, you can see that Sarah would have got the gift certificate because she finished first. If there had been a tie, both of the people who finished first would get a $10 gift certificate. But in this case, it's just Sarah, so she gets the gift certificate. Now you can see that all the other people in the class were working pretty hard too. Everybody got more than 30 points, which is great. So in this case, all of the people in the class besides Sarah would have got to pick from the prize box at the end of the last class, and Sarah would get the gift certificate. But let's change things for a second. Let's say that Johnny just had like a lot of trouble in this class. Look at Johnny's points now. He was talking during the meetings, he wasn't working hard, he was being really silly, and he only ended up with 8 points. You can see that 8 points isn't very good compared to the rest of the students, so Johnny wouldn't get a prize. Also, I just wanted to mention this. I don't think this will happen with anyone in our class, but if Johnny was really having that much trouble, we might have to send an email home to mom or dad just saying how much trouble he was having following our rules. So I wanted to get all that out of the way. I think that you'll be doing great though, and that's not going to happen to anybody in our class. Okay, so remember to work really hard, listen to Matt and your teacher during the meetings, and take the class really seriously and do your best. We'll start the points now. Your teacher will start to look to give points. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about our class. Now I want to tell you about our class. It's called Your Voice Public Speaking for Kids. The reason it's called Your Voice is because you're going to be giving some speeches. But that's not all that we'll be doing. We'll also be creating a TV news broadcast as a class and filming it. You'll get to play the role of a TV anchor person. We'll also be playing some fun games and holding some class debates. Now you might be feeling a little nervous about getting up in front of the class and speaking, but don't worry, we'll help you out. And I think you're really going to enjoy this class. Now the first thing that we'll be doing is giving our informative speeches. We're going to give a short speech about a subject that you know a lot about. We can't pick the subject for you. You have to decide what subject you want to speak about. Now when you get up to give a speech, you're going to feel more confident if you're speaking about something that you know a lot about. For instance, I know a lot about baseball. So if someone asked me to get up and give a speech all about baseball, I could tell you all kinds of things. I could tell you about when I used to play baseball as a kid. I could tell you about all the famous baseball teams, the history of the World Series, the rules. I could go on and on about baseball. But if someone said, you're going to give a speech on ballet, well, I don't know anything about ballet. And if they said, first talk about the 5 ballet positions, well, I can't remember what those are and I don't know anything about it, so I wouldn't feel very confident getting up and talking about ballet. So pick something that you know a lot about already. It might be something you're really interested in, like a sport or a video game. It could be a TV show, it could be a movie, it could be something in your life. Like it could even be a speech about your dad or your mom or your brother or sister or your cat or your dog. Topic can be absolutely anything. Just make sure that it's something you know a lot about and can talk a lot about. If you get really stuck, we do have a sheet of possible topics you could pick from that your teacher will hand out. It looks like this. We're going to give you a pretty short period of time to choose your topic. We don't want to waste too much time just choosing the topic because we want to get right into the speeches. So we're going to give you 4 minutes to come up with your topic idea. And anybody who can come up with their topic within the 4 minutes earns 2 points. If you finish early, you can try to help a classmate come up with an idea if they're stuck thinking of one. Okay, let's begin. Now that you have your topic, the next thing you're going to do is work on your informative speech planner. It looks like this. As you see on the planner, the first thing you're going to do is the introduction of your topic. You want to have about one sentence here, just giving a very big overview of what your topic is. Like, let's say my topic was on the computer game Minecraft. Now, some people play Minecraft all the time and they know all about it, but there's actually some people who have probably never even heard of it. So I want to give a very broad overview for everybody so they know kind of what I'm talking about. Like, I could start by saying Minecraft is a game where you use blocks to build things in a virtual world. Now everyone knows what I'm talking about. Now, even if somebody's never even played Minecraft, they know what I'm talking about. Next, you want to think of something called a hook. A hook is where you try to hook in your audience. You want to get them interested in what you're going to be talking about. Like, if my topic was Matt playing baseball when he was a kid, I might start with a hook, like an interesting story from when I used to play baseball. I could start with something like, did you know when I used to play baseball, one time I hit a triple and sliding into third base, I broke my arm? Now, you might be interested in that story or you might not, but at least it's an attempt to try to make you interested to hear more about when I used to play baseball. So for the hook, try to think of like an interesting fact or an interesting story that goes with your topic. If you're really stuck on this step, ask your teacher. I bet they can help you. The next thing you're going to do is, do you see how there's these big categories here? You're going to have 3 big categories for your topic, and then you're going to have some smaller facts that go under each big category. Like, if my topic was baseball, I might want to think about the big categories such as famous baseball games, or the rules of baseball, or famous players. A fact would be a smaller detail, like the New York Yankees have won the most World Series championships. Take a look at these facts and categories about dogs. Some of these are big categories about dogs, and others are like smaller facts about dogs. I'm going to do a 1-minute turn and talk with a partner. I want you to see if you and your partner can figure out which ones are the categories and which ones are the facts. Okay, I'm going to put up 1 minute. Let's turn and talk. Okay, how did you do? There were some big categories here, such as dogs in the movies, types of dogs, also dogs at work. Under a big category like dogs in the movies, there were some smaller facts. For instance, Air Bud is a movie about a dog who plays basketball, or Lassie is an old movie about a dog who helps people. Under dogs at work was a fact about dogs who help the police find drugs. When you're working on your informative speech planner, you'll have an example sheet that your teacher will pass out where we showed you how to do the categories and facts for the topic of soccer. You're going to work for about 10 minutes on your planner sheet. You probably won't finish it in 10 minutes, but I want you to get started on it, and then I'll talk a little bit about the next step for your planner sheet. Okay, your teacher will also be giving out points for people working really hard. Let's put up 10 minutes and let's begin. Okay, hopefully you're off to a good start with your informative speech planners. Just as a reminder, remember when you come back to the meeting, that little 10-second countdown will count the time down, and your teacher will give points to people who are ready quickly without running. Now, have you ever seen somebody reading a speech to a group? It's not very interesting. Usually during those types of speeches, the person's just looking down, reading word for word, everything on the page. When I see a speech like that, I always wonder, why didn't you just hand out the speech and let us read it? You want to try to talk to your audience, not to read something to your audience. For that reason, for our speeches, we use note cards. Now, let me be clear, you don't write everything that you want to say down on the note card. After all, you know a lot about this topic, so you should be able to talk about it. Remember my example about when I used to play baseball? If I was giving that speech and I got to the part where I wanted to talk about the time I broke my arm, I would just take a note card and all I would write on my note card is the time when I broke my arm. That's actually all I have to say on the note card because I basically remember that story. Like I could tell it to you right now. One time when I was 8, I was playing on my little league team called the Yankees, and I hit a long fly ball over the center fielder's head. I was running and running past first base and second base, and I thought I could make it to third. I slid into third base just as the ball was coming, and the umpire said, "Safe." Then I heard a terrible crunch. It was my arm. It had broken. Right away I knew something was wrong. It really hurt. Next thing I knew, I was on the way to the hospital. Now, I was able to tell you that story from just that little writing on my note card because I remember a lot about it. You're going to think of things for your speech that you know a lot about that you can talk about too. So once you're done with your informative speech planner, your teacher is going to give you exactly 15 index cards. Here's what the index cards are for. The cards will follow your planner, so you'll have one card for your introduction, one card for your hook, one card for your first category, then 3 more cards for your 3 facts under your first category, a card for your second category, your 3 category 2 facts, then your third category, your 3 category 3 facts, and finally your conclusion. That all adds up to 15 index cards. So we're going to work for about 15 minutes. The first thing you're going to work on is finish your informative speech planner. The second thing you're going to work on is your note cards. Your teacher will be giving points for people working really hard. You may not finish it all by the end of 15 minutes. That's totally fine. Let's put up 15 minutes and let's begin. We're going to play our first public speaking game. It's a fun game called Three Truths and a Lie. You might have played it before. Here's how the game works. You're going to get an index card and you're going to write down 3 true things about yourself and 1 lie. You want to make them kind of interesting. Like, you wouldn't want to just say, I'm wearing a black shirt. That's not very interesting. Like, for my 3 truths, I'm going to think about some interesting things about me. So I'll go first. In a second, you and a partner are going to turn and talk and see if you can guess the lie. Okay, so when I was a kid, I had a cat whose name was Muffin. I really like the soda Sunkist. I drink at least 2 each day. I have a brother whose name is Frank. And my mom's job is that she makes dolls. Let's put up 30 seconds and turn and talk with a partner. Which one is the lie? Okay, I wonder if you got it. Actually, I don't have a brother, so that was the lie. The others are all true. My cat Muffin, I do really like Sunkist, and my mom is a doll maker. Now, after you finish your informative speech planner, you've finished your note cards, the next thing that you can do is write down your 3 truths and a lie. Later, we'll have some people come up and see if they can stump the group. By the way, when you write down your 3 truths and a lie, make sure not to show anybody that card because you're going to try to stump the class later. If you finish all of those things, the last thing you can do is to practice your speech with a partner, but I'm not sure anybody will get to that point. We're going to work for 15 more minutes and let's begin. Okay, thanks for coming back. Your teacher should put up points for those people who were able to come back to the meeting quickly without running. Now, there's probably some people who are ready to do their 3 truths and a lie. So I'd like your teacher to put me on pause, and in a second, 3 people are going to come up, one right after another, to see if they can stump the class. Here's how it will work. Your teacher will ask someone who's ready to come up. They'll read very slowly and in a loud, clear voice their 3 truths and their lie in any order. Then they'll read it one more time so that you can really hear all of the truths and lies. And then that person will call on someone in the group to try to guess. If somebody guesses the lie correctly, that person earns a point. But if after 3 guesses nobody can guess it right, then the person who came up with the 3 truths and a lie earns 2 points for stumping the class. Okay, so let's put me on pause for a minute and let's play 3 rounds of 3 truths and a lie. I want to talk briefly about the 5 main things that we're going to be practicing when giving a speech. I'm just going to mention them now, and then we'll talk about each of them in a little more depth later on. Now, the first one is when giving a speech, you want to use a loud voice. Have you ever been somewhere like in class and someone is giving a speech but they're talking in a really quiet voice? You have to kind of strain your ears to hear what they're saying. That's no good. You have something really important that you're saying and we really want to hear it. I've noticed that some of those people who speak in a quiet voice in class, out on the playground, they can be really loud. So when you give your speech, you don't want to shout at your audience, but you want to kind of use that playground voice, nice and loud. Even someone standing way in the back of the room should be able to hear you. Like in this example here, even this woman here should be able to hear the speaker. The second thing to practice is making eye contact with your audience. Like right now I'm speaking to you through a camera, so I'm just making eye contact with the camera. But when you're speaking to a live group, an audience, you want to try to look at each of the different sides of the audience and make eye contact with the different people in the audience. That can be a little scary sometimes to look into the eyes of the people in the audience. One trick sometimes that public speakers use is they look at a spot just above the heads of the people in the audience. That can be a little less scary. The third technique I want to talk about is posture. That means standing up nice and straight. If you're like shifting around, standing on one foot, it doesn't look very impressive. If you're leaning against a wall or a podium, that doesn't look very impressive either. You're confident and you have something important to say, you want to stand up nice and tall. We'll talk about a few other techniques later on in the class, but those are the first 3 I want you to concentrate on. Loud voice, looking into the eyes of your audience, making eye contact, and standing up tall with good posture. So we're going to continue working on our informative speech planners and our note cards, and then once you're finished with that, you're going to pair up with a buddy and you're going to give your speech to the buddy, and then the buddy's going to give their speech to you. You'll have a sheet like this that your teacher will give to you, in which you're going to give some feedback to the person that you're paired up with. So if I was paired up with someone and I was giving my speech, after I was done, my partner might have some feedback for me on their sheet. They might say, Matt, you did a really good job of speaking in a loud voice, but you were kind of leaning to one side, your posture could have been better, and you made pretty good eye contact during some of the speech, but then you kind of forgot towards the end. That might be their feedback for me. You're going to fill out a feedback sheet for your partner. You're also going to tell your partner what your feedback is. By the way, make sure that not all your feedback is negative. Nobody wants to be brave and give a speech and then just hear all the bad things they did. I'm sure that everybody did at least something well. So make sure to give them a compliment too. Okay, so we're going to work on those things for the rest of the class today. All right, your teacher is giving points for people working hard, and let's begin.